Why am I coming up with ideas for videos all the time? Why am I wasting valuable brain energy coming up with takes on movies and having passion for horror when all I gotta do is slap together some shit about taking movies extremely literally and producing videos about how to solve them like they're a puzzle? Don't you want to know how to survive a movie? Isn't that important info for you? How you could survive tremors? Because graboids are real, what if one gets ya? That's the point of art, obviously, to train for absurd hypotheticals until you can't be hurt by any sort of impossible supernatural force. To be ready for any contingency, like Batman, except without the resources or physical skills or actually helping anyone, and also in real life, criminals are not afraid of bats. Who am I to deny people this? Who am I to impose some arbitrary standard of media literacy or good taste or basic common sense about what kind of things are possible in the real world onto the movie-going public? So let's talk about how to survive slasher movies with recognizable, iconic villains that will be good for my SEO. Let's have a good time with that. None of these movies are allegories for real-life problems. They're all flights of fancy that should prepare you to deal with knife-wielding fiends in the real world. Some ground rules. Number one, for any slasher that's just like a guy, like a normal person without any sort of supernatural abilities, just carry around a gun and a flashlight. That's how you survive Michael Myers or Harry Warden or Ghostface or the Prowler. That's how you defeat Prom Night 2 Hello Mary Lou. I don't want to have to say that a million times, so we're going to focus on slashers with supernatural abilities or unique physicalities which make them difficult to simply shoot with a gun. Secondly, pretty much any horror franchise is going to have contradictory rules, so I can't guarantee that the people writing any slasher movie you happen to find yourself in isn't going to contrive some reason why what you're doing doesn't work anymore. All of these guys get defeated one way in the movie that never seems to bother them again, so your mileage may vary. We here at Scaredy Cats Incorporated accept no liability if you find yourself chopped up by a Pieces from Pieces. And thirdly, I'm not actually mad. I'm having fun. It's all a bit. I chose to do this. Nobody made me do it. I'm just pretending to be mad for fun. I'm playing a character that's all snooty, but actually I just thought this would be a fun thing to do. You know, I gotta talk about my boy first. Freddy is unique in that he's probably one of the most powerful beings on this list, but also probably the easiest to defeat. Firstly, he attacks exclusively in dreams, so you're safe when you're awake. Certain medications can suppress REM sleep and keep you from dreaming. And if you're in Freddy's world, you can always take Hypnosil, which explicitly does that and doesn't seem to have any major side effects. But if you can't avoid dreaming, which you can't forever, there's a lot you can do within the dream world to protect yourself. Studying lucid dreaming techniques would help you be prepared for this, allowing you to use the infinite power of the human imagination to fight back. Oh hey there, Freddy, you want to slash me up with your little claws? Dang, too bad for you that my best friend Superman is here. Or maybe Magneto, he could zap the claws away. Oh, guess what, Freddy? I got bigger claws! I got bigger claws than you now! Beyond that, Freddy's power is directly proportional to the amount of fear he generates. Are you afraid of him? Is anyone at this point? Just laugh at him, hee hee ha ha. Nothing he can do. Practicing mindfulness meditation would help you prepare for dealing with unexpected scares, and allow you to divorce your body's reactions from your internal experience of emotion. That way, even if he has some way of startling you or scaring you, you'll be better prepared to deal with it and decide your next steps, like if he makes spiders appear on your dick or something. I mean, I think I would be scared by that, but with enough mindfulness training, I think I could prevent myself from getting scared enough to give him power. If possible, pull him out of the dream world into the real world, where you can then shoot him with a gun. Make sure to dispose of his remains in such a way that a dog can never piss on them, because that's been shown to bring him back to life for some reason. Chucky's a little doll man, so just kick him. Chucky's threat level is purely psychological. People refuse to believe that he is an alive murderer, and then, once he's been revealed to be so, they are often taken back, which gives Chucky a little opening he can use to totally murder him. You will not have this disadvantage. You already know Chucky is alive. You will very easily be able to withstand any physical attack by Chucky or Chuckies. if you are prepared for it. You could perhaps go one step further, learn the stereotypical and low-key racist version of voodoo that animates Chucky. Note here that I'm not referring to real voodoo, which is just a normal religion whose practitioners are unfairly maligned because of insensitive depictions of their faith like this one. The one I am encouraging you to learn to protect yourself from the fictional murder doll. That way, even if Chucky does kill you, you can come back as a doll too and whoop his ass. But on the downside, it is cultural appropriation, and you will definitely be contributing to a culture which harms actual voodoo practitioners. So balance those two factors. An important lesson to internalize is sometimes survival's not worth it. None of that should be necessary, however, because Chucky's a doll. He's less threatening than a normal person. Just rip him up. Children can rip up a doll. I know this because I broke many stuffed animals as a child. Simply fuck Chucky up, destroy him. What's he gonna do? I could just tell you, don't solve the lament configuration. Really, if you find yourself in a situation where Pinhead Hellraiser is coming for you, you already fucked up. But let's say that somebody holds a gun to your head and forces you to solve the lament configuration. And in comes Pinhead and pals, do not panic. Do not panic because you saw the Chatterer. Compared to your typical horror guy, Pinhead is pretty reasonable. If you explain your circumstances to him and that you didn't actually intend to experience the heights of sensation, but rather got tricked into solving the puzzle box, he might let you off. You might not. It really depends on what he's feeling at the moment and what he thinks about you personally. But it will give you time to solve the puzzle box again and banish him, and that's all you gotta do, really. And all of this assumes we're going by Hellraiser 1 and 2 rules, because Hellraiser 1 and 2 had rules. The silly shit that came later really didn't, and I can't really help you with that because it doesn't make any sense and there are no rules. Try not to be evil. The Cenobites prefer to kill evil people, it seems, in those movies, so just don't be evil. It's good advice regardless. Again, this is a guy you kinda gotta go out of your way to summon. Simply don't. Do not say his name 5 times consecutively. If you do, I can't really help you. He's an allegory for the experience of being black in urban America and the legacy of slavery as it is felt in the lives of black people today. If I had a way of defeating those things, I would not wait for the murder ghost to come get me. I would have done it by now. It's a very intractable social problem. It's what makes the movie so compelling. Maybe take an African American studies class. I mean, he'd probably still kill you, but it will help you contextualize why and what that represents to him. But again, shouldn't be a problem, just do not say his name 5 times, and beyond that, kinda just stay out of his way. Reverse Freddy rules apply here. You are actually safer if you were afraid of the Seaman. That makes you part of his congregation, so just maintain an appropriately respectful fear of the man. And here's some advice I just realized. Probably don't put him on a list of horror monsters and how to fight them, because the subject matter of the movie really isn't suited to that. Leatherface is simply a normal guy, but it's difficult to shoot an entire family of Texans like the Sawyers. They're probably better with guns than you, because they're all from Texas. If you try to shoot them, it's probably not going to work out great for you and they're going to gobble you up. Luckily, you can entirely avoid getting on their menu with one simple trick. If you happen to pick up a hitchhiker in the backwoods of Texas who begins acting strangely, make sure to impress upon him that you and all of your traveling partners have a deadly and extremely contagious bloodborne illness. I would suggest making one up so as not to complicate the fun of my amusing hypothetical with the actual struggles of people with real-life diseases. We'll call this made-up disease Hansen's toxihematosis. Sufferers of this condition develop painful symptoms and eventually die, and crucially, find themselves entirely unable to digest meat in the meantime. The Sawyers will not risk contracting this disease by eating or skinning you. They very much like eating meat. They don't want to fuck with something like that. I would also suggest mentioning that you at one point were able to treat this condition, but you can no longer afford to do so because you lost your medical insurance after being fired from your job at a meat packing plant when new technology made your services redundant. That'll keep the Sawyers off your back and maybe even make them sympathize with you. But if you do get caught lying and they try to fangoriously devour you anyway, try and play them against one another. They don't seem to get along that great most of the time. Like, hey Leatherface, how come they make you do all the shitty work? And then he'll be like, yeah, you're right, I got a chainsaw, I should chainsaw these guys up. And try and just get away in the chaos. Jason Voorhees is by far the most difficult supernatural slasher to withstand on this list. He cannot be killed, doesn't have any weaknesses, except sometimes when he does, but they're dumb. He cannot be reasoned with, and he cannot be avoided. You might think you would simply stay away from Crystal Lake, but he might come get you in Manhattan, or Springwood, or space! Contrary to popular belief, abstaining from fun behavior like sex or drugs won't keep you safe either. He'll just kill whoever's around him at any given moment with no real rhyme or reason. Those things will get you killed quicker, they do seem to attract him, but might be worth the risk. That's really up to you. You have two options that might keep you safe when dealing with a Jason. First, try trickery. Jason is very easily fooled into thinking you're his mother or himself somehow. That might give you some time to escape or think of a clever plan. Try that. Secondly, dragging him down to the bottom of Crystal Lake seems to semi-consistently put him in a dormant state of some kind. That's probably your best bet, but it can be difficult to arrange. Try tranquilizing him. That seems to work well enough despite his undead physiology. Don't question it. Wrap him in heavy stuff and dump him in the lake. Maybe cut off his arms and legs too. That might be a good idea. Why has nobody done that? And this is crucial. Once he's in the lake, do not remain on the boat. Do not go to sleep on the boat and wake up to a tranquil morning out on the lake, because you're gonna think you're safe and then something's gonna jump up out of the lake and grab you and pull you down. It happens to dozens of people a year. Just don't go near the lake after this. Stay away from the lake until Jason inevitably comes back to life and you can repeat the process. Remember, Jason's defeats are temporary, but unless you kill his mother, who's already dead, so that shouldn't be an issue for you, he probably won't seek personal revenge on you. You might be tempted to tell people you saw Jason and warn them about the situation, but probably don't bother. Nobody will believe you. They'll probably gaslight you into thinking what you saw didn't happen and that you have to go back to Crystal Lake to face your fears and move on or some shit like that, and then you're back at square one, Jason's killing a bunch of people, you're right back in the middle of it. Just tell them you have amnesia or something. You can't remember what happened. And finally, some general advice to just avoid slashers in your day-to-day life. These should work regardless of who the slasher is. If you work in a morgue, first of all, pretty bad choice of careers in this world, but if you do, and somebody's got to, and you're eating a sandwich, don't turn your back on the body that just got wheeled in. It'll get up and kill you. In fact, make it the general practice of your morgue to handcuff bodies to gurneys and claim it's to prevent body theft or something if anybody complains about it. Do your best not to be an annoying person that a hypothetical audience might like to see killed. That way, even if you are totally murderfied, it won't be in a satisfyingly gruesome way. Don't be a frat boy, don't be a hipster, and try not to have stereotypically annoying but ultimately harmless hobbies that people always hate in movies but are fine. Like ultimate frisbee or a cappella or improv or something like that. Just in general, anything which makes you an interesting person, just avoid it. Try to have some sort of compellingly traumatic backstory that defeating a monster might help you resolve. Now that's largely outside of your control, so if you can't do that, try to have a palpable and mutual sexual tension with someone else in your immediate surroundings, and do not make a move until the killer is defeated. If a bunch of people are dying in a way that suggests some fantastical local folklore is true, pay very close attention to that folklore. If a local madman tells you that you're doomed, discuss it with him. Talk that out. Ask open-ended questions which keep the conversation moving. What in particular do you think has doomed us? Tell me more about this death curse. How does it operate? Things like that. If you come into possession of any talismans or jewels or artifacts of any kind really, hold on to them. Even if holding on to them causes the killer to come for you personally, you might be tempted to get rid of it in that scenario. But don't, because chances are they're necessary to get rid of the killer as well. Keep them in a safe place or on your person. Do not tell your greedier acquaintances about them, or there'll be a scene where you go to find them to find out that someone else has stole them and you gotta go track it down. Just keep it to yourself. And lastly, don't assume you'll be safe based on observance of tropes from other horror movies, particularly older ones. Modern movies are made by people who grew up on those movies and love to subvert your expectations. Maybe the guy who wanders off from the group and says, "I'll be right back" is safe, but then he comes back to find the entire group has been killed while he was gone. It's scary. Maybe the bookish girl next door type is the first one killed, and the slutty party animal is the final girl, and has a lot going on beneath the surface once you get to know her. Like there's a reason she behaves like that, and if you get to know her, you'll understand why. As a rule of thumb, any advice you're gonna get from the Scream franchise or Cabin in the Woods probably outdated and will no longer work. Thank you for watching Watch Mojo's countdown of how to survive slasher movies. What do you think? Did you agree with our list? Are there slashers you think we should have covered? Comment below and subscribe for more videos exactly like this. All of my videos are like this. I don't make any other kinds of videos. This is entirely representative of me and my work and how I wish my work to be seen. How's that? Satisfied? Well, to be honest, I, Bobby Duke, started a channel, thought that was a little passive-aggressive. Oh, really? Was it? Yeah, a little bit. All I did was politely suggest that maybe you make videos that are a bit more friendly for the algorithm, and then you made a whole stink about it like you're better than this type of thing, even though it seems like a fun and harmless idea for a video. Hey, I'm Bobby Duke, I'm the star of the channel. I can't decide if my accent is from New York or Boston. Okay, well, you're the one that does my voice, so I can see we're not gonna get any content out of you today. You're in one of your little moods. Hey, how about you go back to your trailer and you play your little video games while the rest of us work for a living? How does that sound?